But for now, we're joined in the studio by another guest who might not need any introduction, but he's going to get one anyway. It's Rich Belcher from First Sight Media. Rich, a very warm welcome. You've come from behind the camera. If anyone's not met you before, introduce yourself to our Event Tech audience.
It's very odd for me, Simon, because I am normally the other side of the cameras that you're pointing at me right now. So myself and my team at First Sight Media have been running all the production for the video side of things. We've been running the live stream, and and I've been holding my fingers up and pointing you to go live as and when you need to go live. So yes, I am very much on the wrong side of the camera here.
It is. It's nice of you to join me. I say he is normally doing the YMCA behind the camera, and I've got to interpret that and deliver these sessions to you. But we've got the rest of the team looking after things for now. But I say, in terms of, obviously Event Tech Live first and foremost, you've been working with them for a number of years now. How's it been for you this year?
I think this is number 7 for us, Simon. Number 7 for First Sight Media here at ETL. I mean, we're really proud to have grown alongside Event Tech Live as ETL's grown, and now we're here at Excel. We've kind of, and our solutions, not only for our customers but also for Event Tech Live, have grown as we've done it. We've obviously now got this pop-up bonus stage with yourself hosting, we've really enjoyed growing with Event Tech Live, as I say, and we find ourselves here now, so we've got, I think there's 4 stages plus this bonus stage that we're all filming, so we're creating all the content ready to go up. I believe next week ETL will, I'm sure, give a shout out about when it goes out. But we've done highlights video that we saw from last night. We did the awards last night. Yes, we're busy people here at ETL.
It's a heck of a show. Like you say, it has grown. We have got all the stages going on. Like the awards last night were brilliant. Very much celebrated by this amazing community as well. And in terms of demands and changes and things, that we've been looking at sort of trends and what's changed from an event organizer perspective, and a lot of people talk about engagement and things, and my company, Introducing Events, we sort of specialize in the team building, creating immersive experiences, doing activities where people are doing things rather than just watching things. And I know a lot of companies are sort of starting to follow that trend, rather than putting people in a room hoping something magical happens, which is, a lot of people have lost a lot of social skills over the past couple of years. We're busy delivering those experiences. Obviously, from a production point of view, how have things changed for you guys in sort of that element, and what are people asking you to capture now as opposed to previous years?
Wow, such a huge, mean question, Simon. Thank you for that. I mean, I think there's loads that goes into the answer to that. Obviously, we just heard from Nuna, who I know that's their big thing as well. And engagement certainly is, since the pandemic, the way that we engage with everything is really changed. I think we can all agree. So certainly the way that people engage with video has changed a lot. There was a time where it seems like a million years ago when we were all stuck in our houses and weren't able to go out and engage in that way with other humans. And we learned to do it through Zoom, and we learned to do it through things like that. And at First Sight Media, early on, we kind of embraced this idea of making your meeting into more of a TV show. And in fact, I think 2 years ago, my talk was about that exactly here at ETL. And I think we've taken that and we've just helped to push it forward. The idea of creating kind of curated content and not just kind of stumbling upon that content at an event is what we work really hard on at First Sight Media. As you know from all the stuff that we put in to try and get this bonus stage streaming and functioning. So I think I'm sure there was a question in your question somewhere, but I'm just going to keep mambling on about how important engagement is. And the problem, I think there's some really interesting stats. Pre-pandemic, it was 16 seconds that you had to engage with someone in a video. That's 7 now.
Wow. So
essentially, if your video isn't engaging and exciting and it isn't punchy from the top, people are going to tune out real quick. And particularly when you're, like the people watching online at home now or in their offices now, they've got their Outlook open, They've got their teams popping up. They've got lots of other things that can distract them. So what you need is something that's interesting and engaging, and probably getting me on to talk isn't the answer.
That's where we step in, thing, Liz. So we spent the last couple of years being completely virtual. Now things have gone back to live. We're back to doing a lot of in-person things, and there is that hybrid element that we're using, production companies like yourselves, because there's I think there's a huge shift to choice. Not only choice, but we were meant to run an in-person team building a few months back now. It was very much a content creation style challenge, if you like. We had people in fancy dress creating movies or creating sort of advertising campaigns just for fun within their teams. I hate using the C word, but COVID affected the event, let's say. All of a sudden it was, how can we still bring those teams together? How can we do it? And it's coming to production companies like yourselves going, what have we got as a solution? Are you getting things like that, a lot last minute challenges of
100%. 100%.
Tell us about your experience of that.
Well, I guess a lot of it is we kind of prepare for that. So here, for example, at ETL, every one of the 4 stages that we have are set up in such a way that remote callers could dial in. So if someone wants to still engage, but they couldn't get on a plane or whatever's happened, they can dial in. But on the flip side of that, Simon, what we're seeing a lot of is if you think about it in advance, you can actually use this new hybrid capability. I don't like one of the guys from yesterday used a different word.
Blended.
That was it. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So this blended option is much nicer, and what it gives you the opportunity for example. One of our big customers that we talked about last year at ETL, the British Equine Veterinary Association, BEVA, they do their congress, and what they were able to do by using our blended solution was they were able to bring people in from further afield. So essentially it's people that couldn't attend live, but they wanted to hear as a presenter of a particular subject. They were able to get people in from the US, from Europe, from Asia, to really engage with what's going on and take live questions, all that kind of stuff. And it really does give more possibility. If we look at, so the stats from yesterday, there were 18 countries, I know you mentioned it earlier, there were 18 countries tuned into here. One of them was Japan, and I assume that the realistic capability of someone from Japan flying over for Event Tech Live, whilst I would encourage them to do so,
it is worth it.
But perhaps there were some, let's call it geographical problems with that.
True.
But they were still able to be part of it, and they were still able to engage. And what a lot of our audiences or of our customers often say to me, in fact, Adam Parry has been one that said it to me many times, is if I stream this, people won't turn up.
Sure.
Well, okay, sure. But what you've got to remember is that more people will be able to stream it and engage in your event by having it accessible and online. There was an interesting a customer, the European Congress of Neopathology. We do some excellent stuff.
Catchy names there.
And they were doing these offline pathology kind of seminars. They put them online. They charged the same amount to attend online that they would have done if they did it in person. And they went from something like sort of 50, 60 people in the room to 300-400 watching online.
Wow.
And so actually they made more money by making it online. And now when they've gone their conferences come back, they're now doing it both. So they've got that audience that will come, but they've got that audience that's simply, neopathologists. I don't know how many neopathologists you know, but they are busy, right? They are neopathologizing, and that's important that they continue to do that. And basically they've got practices that they need to run, and they can't come out. So I think there's maybe a misconception that blended events or hybrid events or whatever can kind of skew the boundaries, but I think if you use them correctly, there's no need for them to.
Absolutely. I think everything has got its own sort of use, if you like, and purpose and time frame. I think it is what you want to get out of it, because it's interesting you mentioned that Adam said, if you give people choice, they will choose not to come. And I sort of understand that mentality. A lot of people's lives have changed, but there's certain things that you get from live events. I know we spoke about it on the virtual day, and we sort of said, from an educational point of view or work related tasks, virtual seems to be the way to go. But if you want to actually get people interacting, engaging, building relationships, in person is the way to go. But like you say, the unfeasible geographical attendees, it still gives them option to be part of something. And I think, as I say, I know we touched on engagement before. I think if event planners, and particularly, what we do is to just build the structure of the event. If we want them to be part of it, do it from the start. Do it right from the start. We get someone like yourself in to do the production, make sure we've got the equipment and the possibility to do that. But it's all about thinking about the actual structure, the content, how are we going to get them to be part of it, rather than they're there watching as well.
100%, couldn't agree more. Also, further to that, what you've got to do is you've got to create that hook for why. You say if you give people the choice, they won't come. Well, why should they come? Right? So something like Event Tech Live already has a great following and everyone knows how brilliant it is, but something newer off the bat might find that more difficult. So you need to have a really good hook as to why you want people to come. And it's not just because we've sold an exhibition space and we need to make sure we're getting footfall or our exhibition is going to be unhappy. What is the reason that you've been, here at ETL, there are some really awesome exhibitions to have. There's the great networking that you meant. I was literally just talking to Evesio minutes before we went live here. And you just can't do that as effectively virtually. But also here, you've got 4 stages. We've only got 1 live stream. Yep. So if there is a session that's not on the main stage, you need to be here, quite simply. So there are important hooks that you can create to help drag the audience in. Geography is also a thing. If you're in Japan, maybe coming to central London isn't top of your list.
Yeah, and sustainability and cost. It's all issues we're talking about, and it's I say
you've got to balance all those, haven't you? Exactly. You've got to balance all those with a good reason to come, and that's why people will come.
Exactly, and I say the same in the corporate experiences we deliver. I say we try and transform an event into an experience. We're going to go there. You're going to experience something. You're going to learn something. But you're also going to do something. You're going to connect with people. You're going to have some fun, and that's what we're about. And I say, like you say, it's that balance, that choice, getting the right balance, the right mix for the right people.
100%.
Rich, any final words to our lovely audience before we go? And say you're doing a fantastic job behind the camera. I'm going to send you back there in just a second. But any final words for our lovely audience?
Well, I think I think that's the key. What I think we've just summed up there is perfect. Is creating that balance between why you want an audience to attend in person, why you want them to attend online, and what's the kind of crossover that you can do to blend that balance between the two things and create an exceptional event that reaches more people, essentially.
That's it. Give them a reason, give them great content, and that's a word of the day, blended. Events. Blended, there we go. Rich, thank you very much for talking to us. Ladies and gents, we are going to go back, show you a few ads, and then join us back here. We'll get our next speaker here in the studio. See you soon.